Hopefully I can get enough sound out of this thing. Gotta be kind of quiet. Gotta be kind of quiet because my son's sleeping. We're gonna change the microphone mode. And I'm gonna open up chat on my phone so we can see what's going on. We aren't playing video games tonight. Tonight we'll be working on the costume build. Tomorrow we'll be playing some new games. So lots of good streamers on tonight. So if you're hanging out with me, I appreciate it. We're gonna get started in just a second. I need to figure out my setup here. Normally Twitch will alert me and say, yo, hey, now that you're live, go to your dashboard because you are live. So what do I do? What do I do? My channel, Stream Manager. I found it. It's buried in the phone. It's buried. All right, there we go. All right. Well, we're not getting messy today. We are, move the mic down a little bit. There we go. I'm going to stay in frame down here. And then we're going to work right there. Anyway, I got easy stuff to do tonight. I did most of, if not all of, the trimming and sanding that needs to be done for this costume, besides sanding it for prep and post bondo. So the goal here tonight is to do just a couple things because it's already 10 o'clock tonight. As you can see here, this piece is a forearm piece, and this has in the mold already this kind of rise to it. And Shore Troopers and Tank Troopers, and in the new Stormtroopers, in the Rogue One era of Stormtroopers, they had this extra raise, which back in the day was just used by cover strip. That would just butt two pieces together, which I don't have the other piece with me at the moment. But essentially now they have a kind of a cosmetic cover strip that sits right on the corners here. And my plan is I'm going to measure those, and then I'm going to cut them out of ABS plastic. So I have two types of plastic. This is ABS plastic. This is a thinner sheet. All the thinner sheets are going to be used for these little detail pieces. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure this length here to here. Oops, sorry, I'm not in frame. From here to here, and then I'm going to measure the width as well. So then that should be pretty standard across the forearms. There's going to be two. One on each side for the forearms. There's two for the biceps, which we look like these look like those. So these are much shorter, of course, because these go on your bicep. And then we have shin pieces for the front and back. So this is actually the front piece, which I grabbed the wrong piece. The reason why this is there's a raise here. But in the photo you can see on my screen in the lower left corner of the stream there, there's extra strapping and things that kind of sit on this face. So I'm not actually going to put a cosmetic cover strip on this part because no one's ever going to see it. It's going to get covered up. So the back side will need a cosmetic cover strip, but on this one you can see it's smooth. So I grabbed the wrong pieces. Let me grab the correct pieces for measurement. And go from there. If I can just find that piece, that'd be awesome. It's not like it. Here's one. It's one that we need. Oh, here's the other. Everything is white. Everything is white. And they should, again, measure up to be the correct length here. Hey, Ben. Didn't realize you were streaming. I didn't realize I was streaming until just now. I figured I'd do something tonight. Cooper's sleeping. Lisa's cooking at the moment, and I wanted to work on this. Normally, I've been working on this kind of just solo, and I figured this part isn't going to be super messy, so I'm going to do some measuring and cutting tonight for the cosmetic components to some of these pieces. And it'll be short stream. It's not going to be super long. I want to start with the easier stuff first. We'll do the strips for the forearms and measure this out. So I've got fabric-based measuring tapes that we're going to use. I have two different ones. I'm going to make sure they both look good. Here we go. So I always measure with the 1 inch, because a lot of these fabric measuring tapes, I swear, this part right here to the 1 inch mark is never really 1 inch. The metal piece came off of this one. I have another one that has a metal piece on it, but I still never trust the manufacturers that cut that piece. I always start at the 1 inch mark where I want to cut. And I'm going to give this a little bit extra. Oh man, this isn't quite the length I want it to be. It's okay. If I start it here, so again, I'm going from point A to point B. In this case, it's under 11 inches, but it's just shy. Well, sorry, 10 inches because we have the +1 there. So I need it at like 10. Let's see. Looks like 10 1/4. Yeah. We're gonna do 10 1/4. So again, I'm gonna go to here and pretend that it's 9, not 9 1/4, because again -1. 9 1/4 is for the forearms. We'll check the other side too to make sure that that's accurate. This is thrilling stuff, right? Yeah, 10 1/4 is a little long. Maybe not. No, that's not too long. 10 1/4. So let's write that down on a piece of paper so I don't forget that. All right. So 10. And I said 1/4. I meant 3/4 of an inch. 10 3/4 inch for the forearms. All right. So what we'll do is we also need to measure the width. So I want to make sure I get the correct width here. I have the same Stanley utility knife. This one right here. I have a blue one and I have a gray one. I lost my gray one years ago, that one right there, whenever we moved to this house. And I bought a new blue one. And since then I kind of go back and forth. But yeah, I love these knives. I mean, for all kinds of things. So it looks like this needs to be 1/4, no, 1/2 an inch. Just about, yep, 1/2 inch. I'm gonna check with the other tape just to make sure I'm not crazy. Yep, 1/2 inch looks like that would be the sweet spot. So, and then we'll go 1/2 inch wide. So whenever you buy these kits from various vendors, you know, some of them will put tutorial videos online and things like that. The guy who made this kit actually has a couple videos online. But there's a lot of things that you just need to have the ingenuity to kind of figure out on your own. And with 501st stuff, there's a detachment forum that you could ask questions on and things like that. But at the end of the day, it's just thinking through what makes sense. I'm actually going to go get a piece of wood to lay here on the carpet, because when I draw the line, that's fine. But when I go to cut this, I don't want to cut through the plastic into the carpet and ruin the carpet. So I'll be right back. Okay, so what I'll try to do is just fish this through the chair that I have this hanging off of, so you can see the camera on the camera here. So I apologize. This bigger screen is still got my green screen filter on it. So if you see weird tearing and if you see anything green come up like this, watch this. Oh, it's magic. Look at that. What's behind me? Nothing. Right? It's that Star Wars background, or it's that background that I have overlaid with the seat. That's fun. Off to bed. Gotta work in Queens tomorrow morning. Catch you tomorrow. Yep. All right. Sounds good. Stay safe. Thanks for popping in for a couple minutes. I know it's late. I probably won't do too much of this stream tonight, besides doing the measuring and cutting here. So we know our we have a straight edge as well. You got to have a straight edge for this. Look is green screened away, but here it is in the other cam. Straight edges are extremely important when you're cutting a straight line. So let's hope that this is 10 3/4, because if it's not, then we're wasting our time. It is 10 3/4. So we need 4 strips of 10 3/4. So I'm going to go to the edge here. Mark that 10 3/4 first. Or was that? Or did I do that wrong? Let's double check. Measure twice, cut once, right? We're going to assume that this is the 1 inch mark, and it's accurate. Even though I don't, like I said, I don't like doing that. Sorry, it's 9 3/4. 9 3/4. Let me update my notes here. See? And that's why you measure twice. So, boom. 9 3/4 right there. I know it's hard to see where I'm sitting. Probably should get some extra lighting in here. But what we'll do is we'll go to the edge of each one of these, and we'll make a couple lines. 9 3/4 right there. And this is what I did for some other measurements for other costuming whenever you're doing ABS plastic. Again, get that line marked a couple times across where you know it's going to be. And then when you go to connect the dots, if you know that the dots are all lined up, you know you're going to have a straight line as well. That's what I like to do. So that's plenty of dots on the center. We're going to do one more here on the edge. So I'm going to line that up there, scoot it out, and we're going to do one right on the edge. So right there, 9 3/4, right here. Okay. Is that really, that looks a little high. That looks a little high. Alright. Yeah, that's a little high. We're going right here. Alright, so now that we've got our line, the great thing about ABS plastic and pencils is you can mark all day. You can mark all day and you can just wipe it right off. No problem. So there's our line. So we know that from here to here is 9 3/4 inches. And now we know we need to make 4 lines for each one of these. There's 2 per bracer or forearm piece, whatever you want to call it. And we need each piece a 1/2 inch wide. So what we'll do is we'll just line up our straight edge. This is a 6-inch piece. And we're going to mark them at the 1/2 inch mark. 1. There's another one. 2. 3, 4. There's our 4 lines. So all this other piece over here on this way, on this part of the plastic, I'm actually going to use for other things. So now that we have a line, we've got a straight cut from the original plastic being straight cut. So if we line up that top part as flush as we can with the line here, we know we have a 90-degree angle. Oops, it moved a little bit. I'm going to use my foot. I'm going to use my foot to hold that straight. So it's been pretty cold here, so we haven't been able to do any other painting work. My helmet is ready for painting, but unfortunately I can't paint it. It's been too cold. I want to make sure it stays above 40 degrees. Some spray paint cans will tell you to wait till above 50 degrees, but 40 degrees seems to be the sweet spot. Same with the Bondo. Like, you're not supposed to apply Bondo and that kind of stuff below a certain temperature, or you can run the risk of having some issues. So a lot of that stuff's going to have to wait. Now the Bondo that I've been doing indoors, that's fine for some of the work, and I can show you some Bondo work that we were doing with the neck piece. It's actually not traditional Bondo, it's more of a kind of a filler. It's made by the same company. It's a 3M product. It's like a Bondo-esque thing. It's like a hole filler. Now I have proper Bondo that we can use. That looks crooked. It's all get out. Why does that look crooked? Looks crooked. All right. And if we don't like the measurement, we will always just fix it. So a lot better. I don't have an eraser on this pencil. That sucks. That's alright though. We see the line, that's the good one. And then we will finalize this last piece right here. Let me do it over this way. I don't know if you guys can see this. Let me scoot up a little bit. We're butting up that one piece. We're going to hold pressure there, and then we're going to go up the line. Again, this is just prepping the cosmetic strips for the costume. That looks crooked. Yeah, that's definitely crooked. I need to get a real pencil with a real eraser. That would be handy. Instead of having a fake pencil, or a real pencil with no eraser. I don't know if I even have a pencil. Oh, here we go. I do have one. Alright. I'm happy with 2 of these. That not then you have the problem where you buy pencils like RoseArt. I'll tell you what, you remember the RoseArt crayons? They're garbage, and you get like a freaking Crayola all the way. RoseArt, they definitely skimp on their products, in my opinion. This freaking eraser sucks. It's working, but it leaves a lot of red mark, which we don't want to have. Again, we're going to be painting all this, and we're going to be sanding it up, so that all that crap that's left over is fine. Do our measurement with our tape. Let's make sure it's 1 inch, 1/2 inch all the way down. That looks good. That looks good too. It only is an eraser. There's no sharp part on that one. It also looks a little thin. I'll eyeball it here. It's a bit off. Thrilling, right? So I gotta erase this again. And if you guys have better suggestions on how to do a straight line here, please, by all means, let me know. So tomorrow we'll be streaming games. Tonight we are streaming just for a little bit, marking some lines here for the costume build. We're still probably a few months out from getting this thing properly done. I'm still waiting on my soft parts that I paid to get commissioned by a professional dude who's out there in Florida, I believe. His family had recently gotten COVID, so unfortunately it slowed him down. Then he also had an issue where his sewing machine broke down, and he's just been having some rough luck. But he's a good guy, so I definitely don't mind the need for him to spend a couple more weeks on getting me my soft parts. But when it comes in, then we'll be able to fit a lot of these pieces a little bit better than just wearing it without it, like with a t-shirt. The important thing there, and I screwed this up again. Let me just go over just a little tad. And I'm very detailed with this. The thing is you've got to get this right. You do not want to screw this up. Some of these little teeny tiny details, like what I'm stressing about right now, some guys and gals in the 501st may not stress themselves. But for me and some other folks in 501st, it's a big deal to make sure you get everything cut the right length and all that. So let's remeasure that. That looks solid right there. That second line I just drew. Yeah, that looks really good. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the old score and snap method. So what we're going to do is we're just going to score the piece that we need. And then we'll go from there. So that's when we bust out the old utility knife. There's a lot of glare going on my new screen here, so I apologize about that. It's a late night, and we're keeping it cash tonight. So in this case, we just take our X-Acto knife or shop blade or a box cutter or whatever you like to call it, and we make a line. We make a line right down where we marked. This is going to be 4 pieces, 2 for each of the forearms. These are These are cover strips that are cosmetic only. We will have proper interior cover strips. We're going to use a different type of plastic, and it's ABS, but it'll be a little bit thicker. This thinner stuff is recommended for the detail work on the cosmetic side of things. Now I've got to draw a kind of straight line down through 4 layers here. We're going to just focus on the outside first, and we're going to make sure we get in there deep enough that whenever I go to bend this, it will snap and not break or bend the rest of the plastic to damage it. And is it hard to follow a straight line? It can be. Some people take a straight edge and they stick it up against where they want to cut, or they clamp it down and then they do that. But honestly, if you eyeball it and you're just taking your time and you've got a steady hand, you can do it. And just make sure you have a really sharp blade. If you feel that your blade's getting dull, get a new one. Don't try to do it anyway. See, I'm already I'm deviating because my blade is a little dull, but it's not super dull. I actually purposely buy the blades that cost a little extra money. They don't dull as fast, because I'm constantly pushing the tip of the blade into this ABS plastic, as opposed to just like a traditional piece of tape or piece of cardboard. So those traditional blades that aren't like a carbon reinforced or whatever, they tend to not last as long whenever you're cutting hard materials. And ABS plastic isn't super hard, but it's hard enough to where your blade will be no good after a few uses of lining down a piece of plastic or cutting something out. So I'm going to go down through it one more time. I've gone through it about twice, and then we're going to give it a little bit of a bend and see if it's ready to come apart. If it's not, we'll do this a couple more times. As you get a crevice from your blade from the previous runs, you can pretty much stick the blade down in that crevice and go straight down. If you go too fast, you will pop out, but if you go, you can go fairly quickly once you've gotten your blade down through there a few times. So we're going to try to snap it. Oh yeah, this will be working. Yep. So I got this part off, so it's loose, and then I should be able to fold this down slowly, and there we go. So again, that isn't a perfect line, but this is going to be white on white, very close to being perfect anyway. And we're going to be sanding this edge down on a piece of sandpaper like that to straighten all that stuff out. So that is not a problem whatsoever, because we'll just do this. There's a piece of the plastic that didn't come off. That what we'll do is we'll try to just cut it down just a little bit, and then I'll just sand it because that's loose now. So we'll try the straight edge method just to kind of see how that works. And that might help us actually move down the line faster. So whenever you only have yourself, I tend to use my foot. Just like some folks will, I'm going to push this toward me a little bit more. Just when folks, they like to, when they go to wrap Christmas presents or birthday presents, you use your foot while you're trying to peel the tape back from the little tape dispenser. so you can hold the wrapping paper in place before you place it. So another important thing here, if you're going to do this method, is don't overlap on your line too much, because if you do, you will cut or score your plastic too short from the measurement that you originally measured. So here we go. So I'm just going to lightly go down this and see, I already fudged up. You know what? I give up on that approach because it's just easier to follow a straight line and trace it down. And then as we clean it up, we can always clean it up with sandpaper, getting that straight line as we need it. So I'm going to start on both sides just to kind of get the line straight. I would say I probably have, I don't know, over 40 hours or close to 40 hours already in this build. And I really screwed that up, didn't I? That's okay, because we won't score from that location anymore. So we should be able to get a straight, clean cut moving forward everywhere else. What we'll do is we'll just probably do the stream on these cuts here. I will show you how they'll be placed. I'll sand the corners and then we'll wrap it up. But I do want to remind folks that if you're here watching at the moment, that we, if you're interested in the gaming part of Refund Arcade, we do that Saturdays at 7 p.m. Eastern. We have been playing in the past on Fridays at 7 p.m. Eastern, but I have been busy with the family. My wife and I have a 6-month-old little baby, and he has been our main priority with regard to getting things done. We're trying to get him sleep trained now to where he goes to bed around 8:30, and if we can keep that up, that would be stupendous for the stream, so that maybe even she and I play games together. I know previously she was able to hop in a previous week and we were able to play Raft together. The first time she was able to play games in a long time. And it was fun. It was really good. So I can't bend this with my fingers. Oh, maybe I can. I'm gonna say I'm gonna get my needle nose pliers, but it's rolling. So, one thing I'm gonna do. So this is a strip. This strip will live right here, like that. It needs cleaned up. So just to try to clean it up a little bit before we continue, we're just going to sand it down. This is 220 grit fine sandpaper. The goal here is just to get this kind of more level. I'm sure some folks might have a sweet, cool cutting method. I'd love to hear it. I know when I watch the tutorial videos, the guy who creates this costume, backform models and stuff like that, his pieces were cut pretty straight. So he might have some sort of cool cutter. And it makes me wonder, maybe I should be cutting this with my Dremel. If some of these get even, we'll put them in the back. Sorry, get uneven, we'll put them in the back. I'm not super happy with this one, but we'll roll with it. Nice PJ pants, bro. Were they a Christmas gift? No, I've had these ones for quite some time. I do have a pair that are like these that are made out of like fleecy polyester, and they're sweaty and they're uncomfortable. Those are the ones you got in your Christmas card this year. Hopefully you got that in the mail. I don't know. What are you up to? Hey, by the way, I'm glad you're here. You and I need to get in touch, and start chatting about sound. We need to start talking about getting some speakers down here. Let me show you this record. I don't know if it's gonna come up on stream. Right, this freaking thing got reprinted. I've been wanting this thing forever, and I ordered it. It was a release from, I don't know, it was like 2014 or something. It's very like 80s style, and it's like a very like arcade video game-esque 80s horror, 80s action film influenced, from a guy that's not from the US, and I haven't been able to listen to it yet because I don't have speakers right now. The old ones that I had, I've given to my mother because she was needing some speakers. So I was like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna get new ones, and I'll have Joel help me out, and to get the new speakers ordered. But we haven't actually got a chance to catch up, and that's kind of mainly my fault, really, because we've been kind of busy with Cooper and all that. There we go. I don't know. I'm so stickler for this crap. I kind of wish this was a little bit straighter. So just to kind of show you what we're doing right now, this is a forearm piece for the Tank Trooper. This is the right forearm piece, so it would live like that on my arm, as you can see on the stream. But anyway, the newer movies have these cover strips. That in the old movies, the cover strips just held the armor together, but this is more of a cosmetic cover strip that sits right on top of there, and then it gets sanded and weathered later. But like, it's simply there to make it look a little bit more like it adds depth to the costume in the HD era that is Rogue One, and all the other Stormtroopers also have this as well, which you don't see in the other older movies. So normally you just kind of make cover strips, cut them straight line, stick them on there, and you're good to go. Now I'm doing cosmetic cover strips first, and then we do cover strips in the inside to support the two pieces of plastic being glued together. Yes, please, I'm happy to talk about speakers any day. Yeah, I was looking at some of those others that you recommended, the Dayton or speakers, and I found a couple that I liked. I'm on the fence whether I want to get the powered speakers or if I want to go with an amp and just rig up the speakers to an amp. I do understand that the original budget that we talked about is kind of cheap for the sound that I need to get, and you want to have something decent. I don't even crazy, nothing crazy, but like I need to have something that makes sense for this space down here. And I don't want to go too cheap. I don't want this to sound like garbage, but we'll figure it out. All right, so this piece, looking at it straight on, it's not straight, and it bugs the crap out of me. But I'm gonna line it up. I kind of trimmed the edges a little bit with it, and I'm gonna look at it. I'm gonna eyeball it here. I think once it's weathered, it's gonna be not noticeable. Oh, it looks like it's okay. It's okay. This is gonna be a cover strip for the bottom. Yeah, like the underside for one of the pieces. I mean, that was the first one I cut out too. I can always cut more, but I do have limited plastic. So I got this piece and this piece for the thin stuff. And I've got to do the shims for the biceps, which thankfully doesn't need as much plastic. But I also got to do the leg pieces. And then I have to do this as well. And this is something that we could do tonight too. This is the chest piece, or the ab piece detail. One of the videos that I've watched said that this needs to get built up. And to do that, it is literally just me drawing this out, which we can do right now. And it gets built up with 2 layers of plastic. I actually have a message out on the detachment forum for this costume, asking their costume lead and their detachment lead as well on if I need to actually do this or not. Because in the photo that I have on screen right now, not that you can tell right now, but that's from the Topps trading card. It looks like that part of his ab plate is built up. So the guy who made this kit recommends that you do it because it looks like it's actually there. So I'm going to do it. And then if they tell me not to do it, like it doesn't need to be there, then I'll worry about it as an afterthought. Because if I had it prepped, I don't have to glue it down. If I had it prepped to cut, then I know that I'm good to go. So I can just glue it down if I get to go ahead to do it. All right, so I'm down on my legs, and it's funny because I most of the time I build these costumes, I never work at a bench. I'm always on the frickin' floor, and it's weird because I prefer to be on the floor. There's just something about like getting down low and having what you're working on like very in your face. Thankfully, I can do that right now since I'm still younger. I think as I get older, I'm not going to be able to do this anymore and like be on my knees and hunch over like this. I can tell you that after spending a couple hours working on the floor, your back does hurt, and I have to deal with that. But like right now, do it while you're young. So I'm just cutting, and this line's cutting so much better than the other line that I just scored a second ago. Again, it's my first cut of the night, so that's probably why it sucks. All right. And with these costumes, the other thing to keep in mind, I don't care which costume you build, don't think about rushing it, and don't think about like how much more you have left to do. Just think about what you need to get done in the short term. Like, okay, I'm working on this piece, I'm doing it right now. When it's done, I'll know what to do next, as in like I know to glue it, or something like that. Don't think about all the other difficult parts. Like, look at that. Man, that's good. That's good. That's a clean cut. So there's the piece. I just scored and snapped off. I didn't really snap off too hard, but you can see that lines up perfectly with this piece here. This is a back plate from the mold, and that just sits right on top. It's actually a little bit bigger, but that's easy peasy just to sand down. And we can do that right now, actually, because that's simple enough. We just force it to that corner. I'll slide it up. And then we'll just sand it a little bit here. So are you guys doing anything fun this weekend? Maybe you're doing something fun right now because you left. That's all right. Enjoy your night. It's getting late. It's 11 o'clock almost. So I'm hoping that I do have to do this piece because it's kind of a waste of plastic if I don't. But it looks like I have to. Like I would assume that I'd have to. One of the other things I could do is I keep grabbing the wrong pencil. Is just mark this. So I get this flush. Mark what I need to cut. And then maybe just cut it. We're gonna give that a go because that's a lot of sanding right there. The piece. So just take our time. We're going to go straight down the line. And the other bonus to this costume, like a lot of costumes, especially the newer movies, is there's usually weathering with the costume. So a lot of the weathering can help hide small, minute, little off details that aren't necessarily machine perfect. I mean, most of these costumes are built by hand, even for the movies. Granted, they're built by people that do it for a living, so they may have more experience. But still, nonetheless, they're built by hand, which means that they're not always going to be perfect. So I'm going to step away for just 1 second and grab a pair of needle nose pliers. I'll be right back. All right. So, just gonna grab with the needle nose this corner of plastic that I want to just peel off, and you just gotta bend it back slowly because you don't want it to bend the other parts of the plastic you want to keep on there. So that bent and clean snapped. The smaller the piece, usually the harder it is to snap it off. But there we go, you got a piece. And then we'll sand it down a little bit, make sure it's even Steven there. And then we'll line it up with our piece. It is looking good. So what we'll do next is just make sure we're happy with the general look. So from the front, what I'm looking at right now, which I'll show you here, is it just needs to be straight where my thumb and my middle finger are, and it doesn't need to stick out too far on the other side, because whenever we line it up on the actual chest or the ab plate, we don't want to have any excess, which it looks like we do have a little bit, so we're just going to sand it down a little bit more, and it's just a little bit. And again, these details to me personally matter. When you go to submit your costume for approval, those costume judges or GMLs that usually at the local level will approve your costume. And I personally don't like to submit anything until I know that I'm super confident in it. When I first joined, I was kind of that way, and I would get, when I first joined, I also got kind of like defensive because you work on these costumes for so long, you put all this effort into them, and you're like thinking that it's perfect, and then you mess up something small, or maybe you just need to tweak a detail, just a minor detail. I'm gonna mark this as T for top, like that, because that's gonna get glued later. That looks perfect. There's just a little bit that I need to trim down on this outer section, which is easy. It's just down here at the bottom. So we'll just sand it down a little bit more. Again, I'm using 220 grit sandpaper. That looks much better. But yeah, once I had a couple costumes. I think I got a little, like I had a stormtrooper after my first costume got approved, and I was busting my butt to make sure it was at least level 2 out of the gate. There was 3 tiers for that one, and there was some comments about my thermal detonator. I was like, oh come on, like it looks fine. But then whenever I looked at the movies, it wasn't. And I was like, oh crap, okay, well I need to make adjustments to that. I was kind of defensive about it to my GMLs at the time. I, definitely wasn't the way to be. Like you need to, like, if you see it, if they call it out and they say, hey, you need to fix this because look at this, and it makes sense based on like any source material that they give you, like fix it. It's not the end of the world. I know you you treasure what you're building, so you want to make sure you're happy with it too. But yeah, it looks good. It's nice and straight. So we need this specific vendor claims there's one more layer, kind of a sandwich of plastic that sits right on top, and it's using the thicker plastic next. And I'm not going to cut that tonight, but I got that one piece started. And then there's the other ab plate piece right here. It is got a little shift incline here at the top. That's the top part. There's some details on the edges as well. They mentioned that another piece, where's my plastic, goes right on the lower half of it, and it looks like that piece that I started to trim actually fits it perfectly. So I will trim that next. Mark it and cut it. Keep grabbing the wrong pencil. And so I'm going to cut it a little bit long, and I can always sand it down to where I need it. Definitely gonna have to sand that piece, and we'll do that right after this. So let's trim it. It would be nice, like I know a lot of vendors, it depends on what they do. Like some vendors actually trim most of the kit for you, and you pretty much just need to strap it and wear it. But other vendors, they gotta cut a lot of it out, and a lot of the detail work like this, you gotta put in the effort for. It would be cool if this kit, and I would imagine it would cost more money because it would take them time to cut it. Unless they had a way to cut this ABS plastic really quickly. It'd be cool if they had the cosmetic cover strips pre-cut in the bundle, instead of just giving you a couple sheets of plastic that they didn't use in the back form, and say, well, here you go, you can cut your own plastic, which I get. I mean, you're building it, you bought a kit. It's not like a finished product. But boy, would that save you time. Be nice to have that just kind of done. So, anyway, I don't know. We got one viewer that's watching. I appreciate you showing. I don't know who it is, but it's cool. I do thank you for hanging out with me. Even if you're a bot, I don't know if you're not a bot. I haven't checked the chat. But if you aren't, you haven't chatted with me yet, but that's okay. Feel free to lurk. I do appreciate it. So, I don't have my bot in channel where all of my sounds would work, but during regular streams, we do have that working. And go. And we do offer like custom audio sounds for our subscribers. Talking to one of the fellow members of Shack Tech / buddy of mine, Roll 1D20. He was on with me chatting a little bit earlier just about some work and all that, but he was talking about, hey, it'd be kind of cool to have a podcast. And I like the idea of just doing these types of things and doing podcasts or something that would be kind of creative to do with other people that I enjoy hanging out with. And I don't really try to do it for money. Like, I do appreciate that I'm a affiliate on Twitch right now, and I can potentially earn money, but I'm not really earning a whole lot right now. I do have like 5 subscribers right now, and I do appreciate all 5 of those folks. They really help me want to keep doing this, to be honest, because I put in a lot of work to get like some of the graphics sorted and getting the emotes sorted and the badges and a lot of that stuff, and it just takes time. And if you don't have the time to do it, it just catches up with you quickly. So I haven't been keeping up with things as much as I'd like, but I do appreciate the folks that have supported me since I started this process. It has been a fun journey. When we first started this channel, I didn't know what I was doing. I was kind of learning as we go. And I didn't have a whole lot of details or graphics or transitions. I had a couple that I used that were open source from streamers that supported free adjustments, and some of this that I'm using right now is part of those packs. But what the heck, man? All I want to do is cut this line, and it's not coming out straight. So again, we're just working on this piece. I got a set of plastic that just sits on top. Again, if you look at the photo I have up on screen, on the tops card, it looks like it's present. So I'm prepping it to be there. Because it looks like it's there. But I want to get it. I'm gonna get the DL to buy into that first before I actually do it. I think it's gonna go right here. I think I'm gonna stop right there. There's a little line. I wonder if I just take a pair of scissors and cut that straight. I'll be right back. Whew. Oh. I'll cut this straight. A little piece of it. Sure we don't lose plastic down here. Got my little boy and I don't want him to accidentally find it. Test the step here. I'm pretty happy with that. I like it. We're going to straighten it out a little bit. Give some dust. Kind of sucks because I want it to be straight. That looks a lot better. So you want to get that step. And all this, once I get it glued down, the resin to this plastic and all that, this all gets painted white again. We gotta sand everything up. Everything gets painted the same coat of white, and I'll be using a gloss white for everything, and then we'll be weathering everything after that. This is by far probably the most complex costume that I've built, even including like a original trilogy Sand Trooper with the backpack. I mean, and maybe the backpack assembly too, in tandem, took more effort. But I don't know. I mean, to me, that belongs there. Maybe, maybe not. We'll see what the DL says. So we'll leave those two there. And we have this last bit to cut. We still have our cover strips, cosmetic cover strips here that we'll finish up tonight. And then I think I'll wrap it up there for the night. We've been streaming for about a little over an hour. Normally whenever I'm doing this solo, I'm not talking to anybody, I probably move at a little bit of a faster pace. But just kind of gives you a frame of reference of how fast it takes to do this. You know, I'm going to try to cut this with scissors. If I screw these up, no harm, no foul. Might be a little short, but we'll give it a go. We're going to try to cut, I don't know. Let's try. Get the cut started, and I'll go down the line. It's probably best to take my time and go down the line here, because as I get to the middle, it's going to be too hard to cut. So this side of the blade, I just swapped it. Should be nice and fresh. I need to figure out which line I'm cutting. I'm gonna start up here. I think starting a stream at like 10 o'clock at night is kind of late, especially whenever I don't have a whole lot of viewers, or not viewers, but some followers. Losing followers, that sucks. I have 75 now. Used to have 76. Somebody was like, "Nah, I'm done with you. I'm done with you. Don't care." Which I understand. It's okay. I'm not hurt. It's all good. You do you. So right now, fun fact, random fact, Lone Wolf, redeem hydrate. Hold on. Hydrate. Hey, Lone Wolf, I'm glad you're here, man. That means you're the one guy watching me. It all makes sense. I appreciate you. I do have something to hydrate with. I'll be right back. Let me make sure it's on camera. I got some Gatorade here. Thanks, man. So yeah, thanks for reminding me. Actually, I've been sitting here. I'm supposed to drink most of this tonight. Are you done with your RPG? Are you sitting in voice chat right now? You could be gaming. Or we can be chilling. Just wrapped up. How'd it go? Hopefully it went well. I'm going to be wrapping up this stream here soon, so assuming Cooper is still sleeping and Lisa doesn't need me for anything, I can hop into the Bernie chat and we can chill if you want to just talk. Just chatting with Roll. Roll's got a new mic. I don't know if you heard his new mic. It sounds good. He got a nicer Shure mic. It's a USB. It's not an MXLR or XLR mic or whatever. So he didn't spend $400 on that thing, but he got a nice mic, which is cool. Ow. Man, I cut this thing crooked too. Score and snap. So there's another piece. One side's pretty damn straight. Alright. Well, we got some extra plastic here that's sitting on my sandpaper piece. We're going to move that and then we're going to clean this up a little bit. So here's a fun fact, Lone Wolf, if you're still around. Now, this is a free fun fact. I got an email from Twitch. They give you statistics on your channel. And they made recommendations. They're like, hey, your custom emotes, here's the top 2 that are being used. Here's the ones that aren't being used. You should consider changing how your emotes work. They said that and it was the first ever icon that we got approved. The Coco coin was the least used, and they recommended that I move it to a separate tier. So I actually moved it based on their suggestion. Apparently, there's emotes for bits if you donate bits. So the Coco coin was auto moved to the bit category for the tier 1 bits because it was the underutilized icon. And then they recommended that I try to change other icons. So in this case, my Refund Arcade logo that I have for the channel was an icon for tier 2, and they said that was also underutilized, and they recommended actually removing it. So I removed that one, and they said that the Cooper face was the #1 used And yes, there's Cooper Cool right there. So tier 1 has a Cooper Cool and the RIP icon, and there's another one that's pending approval still, where it's Cooper, where he's happy Cooper, and tier 2 has surprised Cooper, and then that was a newly added one because they said that the Cooper face was popular, and then since I wanted to keep with a Coop Troop theme, tier 3, which is the Coop Troop, which nobody is a part of except for me because I own the channel, is the Cooper with the helmet icon. But yeah, there was like this auto suggestion. So they removed my Refund Arcade. They moved the Coco coin, which was used more than the Refund Arcade icon, to the bits tier, and then they said go find other icons. I'm like, okay, crap. And I couldn't think of anything useful, so I went through some photos of Cooper and was like, all right, well, we'll find some face emojis that we can make out of him, and go from there. I still have the RIP icon. They didn't really have any suggestions for that one. I actually uploaded a F key, which we have on the the Discord. The F key was rejected for approval. I guess they maybe thought I was, I don't know, going to spell the F word or something with it, but I don't have enough characters to do that. But like, they didn't let me have the F key for, press F for respect or whatever, to pay respect. So they rejected that request. But they've been approving the Cooper faces, which is good. Alright. We're just cleaning up the corners of this cover strip. And we're going to place it. This looks pretty straight. I'm not too bad. I'm not too worried about that one. That one looks clean. The other one I'm pretty iffy about. So again, just to show you, here's the back piece. There's a bump or a raise here. On top of that raised piece goes the cover strip itself. It is definitely not straight. One of the things that I wanted to do was keep the Coco coin because it was kind of the thing that started it all. They were suggesting either removing it or moving it to the bits tier. Strangely enough, they didn't even recommend the logo going to the bits tier. They just said get rid of it. So whatever. It's cool that they do that. They give you suggestions based on statistics and they show you how much it's been used and all that. I keep looking at this because I don't know if I'm happy with it. I'll be happy with it. Man, I don't know. Yeah, I think the Cooper faces should be a good hit. I think what do? You keep up with it as he gets older. You just gotta find the cute tier where he's super cute and you keep it there. But he's got a little while before he becomes a little shithead. Alright, well, that's 2 pieces. Man, I need to learn how to cut. Cut like a butt. Alright, one more piece and then we're done. One more piece to cut out. I wonder if I should just do this. Do I just go through and... I guess I can't. There's no way to get the scissors to the pieces that need to be straightened out. It's untrue because I'm doing it right now. There we go. Alright, one more piece. Man, I wanted to find out if people just have a steady hand to cut these straight lines. Because I don't think that the... I don't think that the other guy that was doing it was using like a special cutter. But I could be wrong. The guy had You know, he has a whole workstation. I'm gonna start the cut with the scissors first. So this goes to show like how much time and effort it takes to build one of these things because of spend time on the little details. But it always feels really cool to get something done and then you put it all on and it's done, and you're taking pictures for the approval part and you know it's going to be good. And the fun part's when you actually get to wear it at like a convention or an event of some sort and hang out with people that are Star Wars fans or just the kids that like it. That's when it's super fun. I guess the other fun fact is Legion, 501st Legion elections are going on right now. So unlike the real Star Wars, Emperor runs everything thing, our costume club does have elections every year for the different local levels, the Legion level, which is the worldwide level, as well as for the costume detachments, so the specific costumes that have different groups. What I don't have, which I'd love to have, is a belt sander. I wonder how much a belt sander costs. That's like I have I got a freaking table saw. I've got a sander that's like a circular sander that's like a buffer for like buffing out like rough spots like on your deck. I got sandpaper. I've got sand blocks, but I don't have like a sand, flat sander that like is on a belt, like a belt sander, which just spins and spins and spins, and you just all I gotta do is just go plop right on the belt sander, and it'll sand that straight edge for me, and I'm done. Like I just touch it onto that, and then I'm done. As opposed to just sitting here going back and forth like a frickin' saw, which this works too. It's slower. Didn't get to play any video games tonight. I'm live, by the way, so if you walk in front of the camera, those people will see you. Alright, just letting you know. There's only one person watching right now. One was watching us. Like, other folks popped in for a little bit, but that's the gist. What's new? You can talk to me. You can talk. People just don't need to see you. You don't want to talk?
I'm just gonna go upstairs.
You going to bed?
No.
Okay.
Not yet.
I was going to finish this last couple pieces and then hop on Bernie chat and hang out with Lone Wolf for a bit.
Okay.
I know it's getting late. Should I just go to bed? I don't know. I gotta live it up. It's the weekend. I gotta work on Sunday. Everybody's working for the weekend. And it's the weekend.
Sure.
Like the song, you know?
Yeah, well, I value my sleep.
I guess we should value our sleep in this day and age.
You don't have to.
I don't have to? No, I value my sleep. Lone Wolf says, you were more precise that way, though. I don't know what he's talking about. Oh, with the costume details? Did you put everything away upstairs?
Yeah. I did the dishes. And I'm gonna relax a little bit before I go to bed.
Okay. Oh yeah, you're right. Sanding by hand is more precise. It's easier to get a straight line, probably, faster. But like, if you leave it on the belt sander for too long and it sands faster than you'd like it to, then yeah, there's definitely a problem there. Lisa said, "Oh, she's gone already. She left. She went upstairs already." But I will tell her. I will tell her though. Even though, actually, I'll probably be talking to you before I talk to her again. All right, so there's another strip. The worst part about all this is just the cosmetic parts. Inside this part where your arm actually goes, you have to build up with extra covers. So, for example, let's take this cosmetic piece. You make a thin piece just like that. It sits right here in this gap, right there. In this gap, right, boom, and there, and then you glue that down. And then you have another piece that's a little bit bigger, and you sit on top of that, and you put that in there, and you glue it down. And then whenever you put the actual arm pieces together, which I don't have the other piece with me, but when you put that together, the one side gets glued down as well, and there's a thicker cover strip that even goes on top of that. If you want to, for reinforcement. Some folks don't do that, and they'll just super get into it like a lot of glue. A lot of work for that detail. Yeah, that's true. So, but again, once it's there, you go to like a costuming convention, or you go to somewhere else. But I mean, again, if you're going to a con, you see a store-bought stormtrooper, and then you see something like this, you're like, okay, well, that guy definitely put in the extra effort. All right, that looks good. I'm happy with that. Man, I don't know. It's pretty good. Pretty good. I like it. All right, there's 3 cover strips. For whatever reason, this other cover strip seems a little bit uneven. And it's probably because, and this was the 4th piece, because the last piece we cut into 2. I'm just going to line it up. Let's just take a look at it right here. Yeah, it's a little big. It's a little tiny bit big. I'm going to have to trim it. And we'll do that before we quit tonight, because I want to make sure that's right. Because then I can say that all of the cosmetic pieces have been trimmed. Actually, I probably just need to sand it. So let's sand the edges to this, and then we'll move on. Then we'll wrap up the stream. Sand the edges. We'll sand the corners as well. So we're going for like a rounded edge. So you can see right here, that's sharp. That's a sharp edge. But then as you kind of bevel it, here's the sides that I've already kind of beveled a bit. So they've got that rounded edge that looks a little bit cleaner visually than just that hard, sharp edge. Looks more finished. And that's just, all you gotta do is just kind of rub the corner of the ABS plastic right onto the sandpaper, kind of turn it, and you get that same effect. And it's beveled. Okay. So then we're going to work on the sides really quick, all the way down. And again, if this cover strip's a little bit bigger than the other one, and I'm saying like, when I say a little bit, like based on this lining this up, I'm talking like maybe a millimeter on each side. I kid you not. Let's see if I can actually get that on camera, because I want to actually show you the difference. See that little millimeter of an extra piece of plastic? It's so small. And on the grand scheme of things, that 1 millimeter Maybe if you're doing like a New Hope trilogy, original trilogy Stormtrooper, then maybe they nitpick. I can see that happening. But this is the bigger cover strip, I'm laying it straight on there, and honestly, it looks good. It looks like perfect. So if I take my smaller one and lay it up there, let me take a look at that one. Again, the smaller ones have a little bit of a crookedness to them, but they still look good. And then again, this whole piece is going to get weathered. I'm going to have, once it gets re-spray painted, it's going to have, I'm going to do acrylic paints and things like that on it, and then we kind of clean it off. But like these cornered edges, they're going to be dirty. So I don't know if the dirty is going to cause a highlight to show you that it's not perfect. Maybe it would. And then the option that we have is 2 different types of glue. I actually spent $20 on Amazon today for 4 ounces of super glue. 4 ounces, that's a lot. You think of like an 8-ounce glass. I bought 4 ounces of super glue. Because normally super glue comes in those little tiny containers, and maybe you get like an ounce. If that, probably not even an ounce, like half an ounce. So yeah, there we go. I think I'm happy with all 4 of these cover strips that we cut. Again, some of them are a little bit bigger than the other ones, but I'm talking like they're millimeters. The other ones I lined up, they are half an inch. They were supposed to be a half inch. So let's double check them really quick. If they are under a half inch, then we probably should consider remaking them. And right there, that's perfect, half inch. I know I could go all the way up and down the piece to make sure it is truly a half inch. Yo, Scout Man, it's so late, dude. What are you doing? Oh yeah, LPIP. LPIP. Yeah, we should make we gotta make an icon. Maybe we should make an icon be LPIP somehow. That should be like the catchphrase for the people that are in the know. Yeah, so that looks good too. And then here's the bigger piece. If this bigger piece is over a half inch, I do need to trim it. It is. So on the millimeters, I'm not prozen enough to do the math, but yeah, it's maybe it's a millimeter too big. And that's so frustrating because you think about it, and like, how do you take a whole corner of this piece of plastic and trim a whole millimeter off of this? It's not very much. Caught some dubs in Apex with a friend. Oh yeah, you got the Cooper Cool. Glad you're dropping the Cooper Cool face. That's new as of this week. So here's our cover strips, 2 for each. We're gonna roll with that. Oh my gosh. 1,099 bits. Thank you for the 1,099 bits. You had the 1-bit cheer, LPIP. That's right. I should have the voice. I should have like lower the settings to where you can type in a message like that and it'll actually read it out with the robot voice. I think that's cool. Well, thank you. You should have access to the Coco coin now. You redeemed highlight my message LPIP. Oh my gosh. It looks good in the text chat. I know up on my stream it's not showing any highlights because it doesn't work that way. But yeah, sweet. Well, Lone Wolf, I do appreciate the bits. And you should have access to the Coco coin once again. I didn't like the fact that I had to remove it. Like it was like pretty much forcing me unless I got it reapproved. And again, they pretty much kicked out the Refund Arcade logo and was like, nah, get it reapproved. You shouldn't use this icon anymore because you're not using it. Like no one else is using it in your chats. So, which I get it. Like the Refund Arcade logo, like there's no really expression that it's like showing off. So it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense either, compared to like other emotes. All right, well, we didn't get as much done as I wanted to on this stream, but we do have these prepped. 4 cover strips. These are, again, cosmetic cover strips only. We did not cut out the detail or the pieces that are actually going to hold it together. We did cut out the strips for some of the details here. So again, there's the resin ab plate piece. There's a piece of ABS that I believe sits right here on top. That lines up. We do need to cut out the larger piece there. Again, I'm trying to figure out if that needs to be, if that's cool or not. We're waiting. I'm waiting on a question to be answered there. This piece is another piece of resin that has that little angle to it. There's a piece of ABS plastic that looks like it rests right here on top, causing that little step right there. And if you look at the details on this resin piece, there's a little gap. Yep, you see right there? That little gap, when added to this plastic, there's that little crevice now. Think of it like, I don't know, like 2 pieces of bread and like the sandwich of toppings or whatever in the middle. I need to grab 2 super thin lines of ABS plastic to shove in right there to make it straight. So that's something to think about too. Again, that's assuming that the detachment lead wants me to put that on there. Based on photos that I've got and some other folks saying that it needs to be there, I guess I plan on putting it there. I don't know. We'll see. I'm going to put some of this stuff away before I end stream. Well, thank you guys for hanging out with me tonight. Lone Wolf, thank you for chilling like pretty much the whole time. I think you were lurking for a while you're doing your RPG. And thank you for the bits. Much appreciated. I actually was able to do my first cash out ever like a couple weeks ago, and then some of that money had to go towards other things, non-stream related, which kind of sucks. But you know, I'm on the next journey to get to the next payout, and it took a little while. It took us a few months to get there because I'm not like a super huge channel, but I think every little bit helps. And I think some folks kind of got wild on my birthday and did gifted subs quite a bit, and that helped me push over the limit. I think without that gifted subs day, I think we probably wouldn't have gotten a payment until maybe like I think March. So I do appreciate that for everyone who has helped, even if it's just the simple like you don't use your Prime subs and you do that for me. That helps. So I do appreciate that. You two, I'm gonna talk to you guys in just a few minutes. I'm gonna clean up my mess, and I'm gonna cut stream. But I'll also clean up a little bit while we're chatting here. And I'll hop into the Bernie chat for a little bit. I probably won't play any games tonight. Maybe we'll play maybe around Apex. I probably have the patch because I haven't played the new character. I'll have to use my Apex coins or whatever to get them unlocked. But maybe we can do a round of Apex or 2. I don't know. I shouldn't be staying up late. I miss the weekends where I would just stay up till like 2 a.m. and play games with you guys, especially when like Lone Wolf was on the West Coast and it'd only be like 9 o'clock for him, but it'd be like super late for us, like not like midnight. Gotta make sure I don't show the other part on stream. There's an address on there. All right. Clean this a little bit up like that. And then once we think about this, like once we get all of the cover strips done and we're ready to start gluing, I will glue everything on stream because that'll be fun. Because I mean, some of it I'll use the CA glue, which will glue and dry within 30 seconds to a minute, where it's going to not come off ever again. And then some of it will use what's called E6000, which is a thicker, more viscous glue. And it's transparent. And it's kind of gummy whenever it dries. You can kind of peel pieces of it off. But that actually has a slower cure time of about 24 hours. So we can take our time with lining up stuff that are like more detailed. And then we'll just put clamps down on everything and let it just like sit in the other room and dry overnight. and then we can come back to it. But like once we get everything glued down, all the detail pieces, all the ab parts, all the like this has like straps that goes on it for the shin pieces. Then we gotta like take a sand, thin, like a very fine grit sandpaper, and sand everything down to where all this shine that you see right now on this plastic disappears, and it's rough. And then at that point, it'll soak up the paint really well, and it'll be able to hold the. It's funny, we're gonna be painting everything white. It's already white, but why? It's got to be the same spray paint so it matches the helmet and all the other resin pieces, because the resin pieces are kind of an off-white color. So everything gets painted the same color, so it all matches. And then once it's all painted, then you do all the extra weathering fun work, which I enjoy weathering. That'll be cool to do. So yeah, when you get a kit like this, they give you giant sheets of plastic, and those sheets of plastic are used for cover strips, or used for if you're a bigger person and you need to have extra. Like here's a thicker piece of the plastic. You can warm this up and you can bend it a certain way. So if you need more space for like your abdomen, if you have like a bigger belly or something, that's why they include these extra pieces, not only just for the cover strips and some of the detail work, but if you need to have a little bit more shinning to fit your body. Before I wrap up, I will show you the work done. The work done on this piece. This is, look at that. Whoa, it's so boring, right? What the heck is that? It's a neck collar piece. So this actually goes on the back plate, which is right here. Let's see if I don't make that. Oh, I didn't. Perfect. This is the back plate. I think I remember showing you on the stream, but I had to rip this out of the mold. There's a reinforcement piece. I sat there for like an hour plus to trim this down. The red that's on there that you see is filler putty. It's kind of like similar to Bondo, and then I actually have thicker, kind of harder material here. This is a epoxy sculpt, which is kind of a two-part epoxy, kind of a clay material that you don't have to actually kiln, and it gets hard as a rock there. And then you just sand it all down to get that effect. But then essentially this neck collar piece goes right, and this is the part where you glue, but it goes right there like that, and that is worn back here like this, and this piece fits into the front chest plate. So essentially that's how that all works. Lots of detail parts to do on this for gluing still, which we'll get to at some point. Even if I didn't have a kit, I think we'd still have, this takes quite a while to do. But with Cooper nowadays, I'm lucky to be able to work on this like once a week. I have been doing some off-stream. Should tell everyone it's blood, sweat, and tears. Oh yeah, the red part. Eventually that red part will get painted, so you won't ever see the blood, sweat, and tears. Alright, so yeah, I think we're done for the night. Again, yeah, some of the stuff I've been doing off stream, like there's been a lot of dremeling, a lot of sanding that I haven't wanted to do in this space because it would just make it super dusty. The last couple times we did streams where I was sanding in here, I looked at my intake fan location on my computer because it's like literally right there next to where the cameras and stuff are, and it was just covered in ABS powder, like from sanding, and so that was getting into my computer and stuff like that. So I'm like, if I want to do any sanding, it's got to be pretty minimal in this space. One of the things I wanted to do was get for this camera here is get a longer cord that goes into the room next door. Like I know Lone Wolf, you helped me find one that was like $18 or something like that. I was reading reviews on some folks that were doing that for like streaming, and mileage was varying depending on the brand and all that, because I guess there was a delay in how long the video signal took to reach, if it's like a 20-foot cable versus like a 5-foot cable. Like some cameras were okay with it where other cameras weren't. So I haven't really pulled the trigger on buying one of those because I'd hate to spend like $20 on a USB extender and suddenly it doesn't work for any of my cameras. And at this point, we're kind of past a lot of the bulk sanding. My plan is to do most of the bulk sanding in the other room off stream, and then when we get to the gluing, which is coming up pretty soon after we do all the cutting of the shims, we'll just have one stream day where I'm going in through the details of just talking through what needs to be glued where before we do it on camera, show it off. Some of the stuff we'll just kind of clamp and let it sit aside. We'll come back to it a different stream. And then once we have everything glued and everything weathered, then we got to strap it up. We got to actually add straps to everything so it fits, like you can put on your body. So Velcro, elastics. I'll have to bust out my sewing machine to sew on Velcro, 2 elastics, and other like nylon strapping. So that's like the final phase, is getting everything strapped so that you can wear it. Thankfully, there's no thigh pieces on this costume, so we don't have to make it like a garter belt and literally do that whole thing, because I had to do that for my Stormtrooper, and that took some time. Strapping this thing up is actually pretty easy compared to any of the other costumes that I have. So that won't be hard. It'll just take a little bit of time. The hard part with this costume is all the little intricate details and doing a lot of the bondoing and filling. So anyway, I've rambled enough. I'll chat with you guys here in the Bruni chat if you're the two that I think are watching. Everybody else that have popped in, and people that you'll watch this on YouTube later, maybe if you watch it on YouTube later, thank you for hanging out with me for the evening. And we'll do this again sometime soon. Tomorrow we'll be playing games though. So thanks everybody. See ya.